Good afternoon, my friends. Give me a thumbs up in the comment section if we're coming through loud and clear. And for the folks that's been following the show over the last week or so, well, I say the last few days, I realize we've been having some audio issues. And thank you for still rolling with me and bearing through that nonsense. And I'll make sure it sounds better moving forward. Good morning to you. Strike that. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to you. This is going to be an audio. Thank you, Gladys. We should be sounding loud and clear and not like we're in a long hallway. I think I've addressed the issue. Still working on it. Gladys, thank you so much for being here this afternoon. I'm a creature of habit. What up, Jerome? PG Sittenfeld found guilty of 2 charges. What does this mean for Cincinnati? Now, we've been following this story since the very beginning, and I reached out to Steve Gooden to have him on the show to give us his analysis. And I want to say thank you, Drop. Hey, good afternoon to you, brother. Not just loud and clear, but also strong. Not like we're in a long hallway or something like that. People were complaining about echoes and stuff. My apologies. I don't want you to have to sit through that nonsense. You got better things to do. No matter how much you like the flows and you like me, you got better things to do than to listen to a show with bad audio. I will do better, most definitely. This will be audio only. And again, I appreciate each and every one of you for your support and checking out my live streams. It means everything. Please lift me up with some shares. Facebook be tripping. I got a plan for Facebook, though. I got a plan for Facebook that I'll probably put in place on Monday. So you'll probably be listening to the show from different places or watching the show from different places. Spreaker is still my dogs. My family over at Spreaker takes care of me, and I appreciate them. And I appreciate you even more. So let's get into it. PG Sittenfeld found guilty of 2 charges, and I'm not happy about it. Let me get that out the way. I'm not happy about it at all. Y'all know I know PG. He and I did a podcast together, and there was a time when we had a common vision, or should I say he shared my vision. There was a time for that. So I'm not happy to see this for various reasons. Number one, I hate to see anybody go to jail. Hate to see that. Number two, what people might say about PG, he's a family guy. He got, a little boy, got a wifey. There's a good chance he's going to be spending some time away from them. But then we'll also talk about appeals, and maybe some of the legal minds out there can lift us up on that. Sayra's talking about Jeff. I want to talk about that as well. So Tamaya Denard pled guilty. PG Sittenfeld found guilty on two counts. What does this mean for Jeff Pastor, who is scheduled for trial later this year on similar charges? What does this mean? What does this mean? Sister Crystal Show writes, I hate to hear this about PG. Me too. I hate to hear this about PG. However, I maintain, as I have always maintained, and I'll say it again, if you do the crime, you got to do the time. And that goes for any and all individuals. But there are some things that we can learn from this and glean from this, pull from this. I want to talk about it, including what this means for Jeff Pastor. But first, I want to say I appreciate Steve Gooden. He called it. His analysis was spot on. His analysis was spot on. We talked to him today, and he said, look, hey, what's up, Pat? We talked to him today. Iris writes, what happened? PG Sittenfeld found guilty on 2 charges, extortion and bribery. Back to Steve Gooden. I appreciate his time. These are all very busy individuals, and he called it spot on. I thought that his analysis, of course, is skewed with his own viewpoint, but I thought that it was fair over the last couple of weeks, and I appreciate his time. And he called it spot on today. He said that if he comes back today, then more than likely he'll be looking for a conviction. He said he did not believe that PG Sittenfeld will be found guilty on all charges, but he thought he will be found guilty on some charges, and that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. And, there's so many lessons in this. One lesson, and this is the most obvious lesson, and there'll be people that'll dance on his conviction. I'm not that kind of person, whether it's somebody I rock with or don't rock with. I don't like to see other people, another man or woman's downfall. I root for everybody, even the folks that I don't F with, I root for everybody. I want everybody to be successful in what they're trying to do. But there'll be people that'll be dancing. I saw some of it on Twitter. They're going to dance a jig, and they'll be very happy about this. But I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it. I read that his wife, as you would imagine any wife would be, burst into tears in the courtroom, just like the loved ones of Tamaya Denard, right? You know, if you love somebody and you care for them, and you see them about to do some time or they've been convicted, that goes a long way. I understand it. But there's some lessons in this. This doesn't seem right. I wonder if PG and others were targeted and railroaded. PG was certainly targeted, but to say he was railroaded, I don't know if I would say that. I don't know if I would say he was railroaded. He had his trial. The evidence was presented. He had high-powered lawyers. He had some lawyers that was I couldn't afford those lawyers probably. So I don't know if I would say he was railroaded. He most certainly was targeted. And that's part of what I want to share with you. And again, some of this is going to sound like I know I'm speaking to the choir. I already know that. But this is just a reminder of you got to watch what you do. You know, I was speaking on the show this morning and I'm like, you know what? I would never say what could never happen. I just know how I am. I'm not even a public official and I watch the moves that I make. I'm very careful about the moves that I make. I'm very careful about the things that come out of my mouth. I'm very careful about who I associate with. You know, I'm very careful about that. And if you're an elected official, they've already been watching this case. But now that this happens, if you're an elected official, if I were you, my advice to you would be, I would assume that the FBI is still working here in Cincinnati. That's the assumption I would make. Out-of-towners and deals that seem to be too good to be true, I would assume it is too good to be true. But a man like me, and maybe this is the black man in me, I don't know. That's what I assume already. I assume that already. You know what I'm saying? You got to make smarter moves. It came out in the trial that at least one person tried to tell PG, like, you know what, I think these are the feds. You got to listen to these voices. You ever got like a voice that tells you like, nah, I don't think I want to do this. It's just a voice or something happens. You got to watch that. You got to listen to that. Got to listen to that. So this will have, I believe, the desired effect that the federal government wanted, which is we sending a message to y'all. Watch what you do. Watch what you do. I'm not surprised because there is a certain level of I'm sick and tired of this from the general public. People feel like politics don't work for them. They feel like politics don't work for them. They feel like the game is rigged against them. And it is. We found out about this. If your ass broke, you can't get shit done. Period. If you ain't super connected or coming with some money, it's hard to get things done. Which is a part of the reason why I believe on some levels the wealth gap persists. Because it favors those that have money. It's part of the reason why people believe like their political system doesn't work for them. So I wouldn't be surprised if these jurors had this kind of attitude and they looking to hold somebody accountable. They're looking to send a message. And I hope that the current or the next generation of politicians pay attention because they'll come get your ass too. They'll come, all the people was like, oh, white skin privilege. That didn't save PG Sittenfeld. That didn't save him. They'll come get you. Watch what you do. What we learn, Sam can take this any way he wants to, but like I told you, I have no problem with Sam Malone. I like Sam Malone, but what we learned with Sam Malone in Dukeway is that everybody ain't your friend. Everybody is not your friend, but I already know that. I already know that. Everybody ain't your friend. People come to you, introducing you to people, trying to push you in certain directions. You better be suspicious. Be smart. Think it all the way through. Follow your intuition. I'm telling you, man, shout out to the wifey. My wife and women in general just have a level of, they got a radar screen that men don't have, or we do have. But see, men have, our egos lead too many of our actions. Our egos drown out the sensitiveness of our intuition. And too many men, and I'm not talking about PG, I'm talking about me, and I'm talking about men in general. I'm telling you, my wife has pulled me to the side all the man, she do it all the time. Like, let me talk to you. Nah, or yeah. And I listen. Even when I don't see it, because I know that woman got my best interest. At the end of the day, she'll kill for me. She'll run through a brick wall for me, and she gonna keep it all the way funky. So men, if you got a woman in your life, wifey or whatever, listen to her. Listen, because again, men's ego, it drowns out the level of the sensitivity of our intuition and our radar screen, because that's who we are. You know what I'm saying? Without my ego, without my brashness, without my shoulders and my background, you know what I'm saying? And these testicles, then what else do I have? You know what I'm saying? That guy's a lot. That motivates and drives a lot. Women love it, but it gets in the gosh darn way. Listen. Listen. It's the hardest thing in the world to do, to listen. You like, I don't see it. I don't see it. It's been a couple of times when I got into some deals with folks. She like, you know what? This ain't sounding right. This ain't sounding right. Keep your eyes open. I'm like, huh? What you talking about? She like, look, you heard what I said. I'm like, I got you. I got you. Listen. So I think the message has been sent. And you better believe these current city council persons, if they're smart, these current school board members, if they're smart, these current elected officials, in this story is going to reverberate all over the country. All over the country, this story is going to reverberate. You know what I'm saying? People are going to they watch. If it hasn't already, it's going to be on Huffington Post. It's going to be on New York Times. It's going to be everywhere, because it's an elected official, PG Sittenfeld, who had a bright career, and now it's all over. The other thing is, look at what time does. Like, PG Sittenfeld, by all accounts, was an absolute lock to be the president. I mean, to be the mayor. Absolute lock. He would have smashed David Mann, because David Mann was a bad candidate, the same way Avtab did. If not even more. He would have smashed him. And look at where we are now. It just goes to show you a couple things. Pride comes before the fall, so watch yourself. And two, man, in a year or two or three, you can change your whole life. Your whole life can change in a year. Your whole life can change in 2 years. Your whole everything can change just like that. Your whole everything can change just like that. Like, sometimes, people be complaining about, nothing changes, nothing changes. Well, you ain't making no motherfucking moves. But your whole life can change just like that. Charles writes, Jeff Pastor's shaking in his boots. I would imagine that is true. I would imagine that's true. Absolutely. Will we see Jeff Pastor cop a deal? Cop a plea? He might. I don't think it's unreasonable to believe that Jeff Pastor has been watching how this PG Sittenfeld case unfolded. Although Jeff Pastor's case is Jeff Pastor's case, and the details of it may not be the same as PG Sittenfeld's. I can't remember all the details. I know Jeff Pastor was taking trips. I think Jeff Pastor was accepting cash. If I remember correctly, isn't that right? If I'm wrong about that, set me straight, because I don't want to put any misinformation out there. But from what I remember, he was taking trips down to Florida, chilling, taking cash, asking for cash, creating LLCs. His case might be a bit different. Will we see Jeff Pastor in the next month or two, or sometime before his trial, which I believe is in September? Will we see him cop a plea? At this point, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. Good afternoon to you. Cleopatra writes, everybody not letting the politicians sell us out. That's true. Brian writes, so what does this mean for him overall? Well, if he's convicted, that means he's going to be sitting down for a little while in a federal prison, like Tamaya Damar was. And Tamaya Damar copped a plea. So, and I don't remember the details of how many charges she had, but I mean, maybe it could be said that since she copped a plea, she got less time than if she would have fought it and dragged it all the way out through court. Uh, Donyetta Bailey told us this. Donnie B told us this from the very beginning. He was like, "Nah, PG going to jail." She never wavered from it. She never wavered from it. Sis got the inside track. She knew what she was talking about. My attitude from day one was the same. Like, let's wait and see what happens. I don't know. You know, some of this looks bad on both sides, but the jury of his peers convicted him on 2 charges, and that's what it is. That's what it is. And so I would imagine that he'll probably appeal. You know, why have all these high-priced, big-time lawyers and put together this whole defense, and then you get convicted and you don't put up an appeal? So I would expect they're probably going to appeal. And if you look at some of these fraud cases, in some cases, public officials have been convicted, and then the conviction gets overturned on appeal. So that could happen. He could be convicted, get charged. I'm not sure if he'll be charged later this year or sometimes next year. And then he goes to jail for a little while. He sits down. Does that mean that he'll have another chance of elected politics? I don't know how that works. I don't know how it works in terms of like the legal standpoint. Like, if the conviction stands, I don't think he can run it again. If the conviction is overturned via appeal, then maybe there's a possibility he can run again. But has he lost the public trust? I mean, realistically, I'd probably say yeah. Would you vote for PG Sittenfeld again? PG Sittenfeld run for council? Let's say he wins on appeal. Would you vote for him? I would say right in this moment, most people would say no. But again, the future holds all kinds of things that are hard to see. It's unforeseeable. I don't really know. I'll say it again. I'm not happy about this. I'm not happy. But at the same time, I'll say the same thing I said about Tamaya Denard. And I felt a bit even more strongly about Tamaya Denard because his sister. I just hated to see that. And I hate to see the way that she was talked about and treated. I just hate to see it. I hate to see some of the stuff that people are saying about PG. However, I stand by this. And this go for everybody. You don't care who you is. If you do the crime, you got to do the time. And it is what it is. Simple as that. Simple as that. Watch the moves that you making. Watch the moves that you making. Man, ain't nobody ever going to want to have a conversation with Sam Malone in Cincinnati ever again. Man, listen, if I'm ever around Sam Malone, I'm going to assume he got a wire on. I'm just being honest. And again, I like Sam. I ain't trying to ish on Sam. So Sam, if you listening, don't be in your feelings, bro. This is just, I'm a grown man talking about how I feel. Take it or leave it. It is what it is. But Sam Malone walking to the party, are you going to have a sensitive conversation with him? F no, you not. Chinedum Ndukwe, same way. If anybody who's ever around Chinedum Ndukwe, and from what I read, city council just voted, so now he's going to buy some property in Avondale. I can't see anybody in Hamilton County being comfortable to have sensitive conversations around Chinedum Ndukwe. Jared Cameras, he wore a wire. These 3 individuals in Hamilton County, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But I know if I'm next to them, I'm like, yeah, nice day. All right, gotta go. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but that's just me anyway. Let's go to the phones. The phone lines are available, are open at 513-873-7134. Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon and welcome.
Am I on?
Yes, you are.
Good afternoon, comrade.
Good afternoon. Black Russia.
Well, thank you. Well, Donnie B was on it. I was on it. All the legal eagles knew it. He was cooked, and he was cooked with his own words. And, it's accountability time. Remember that letter that got put out? All of them folks to sign, Lincoln Ware, Cecil Thomas, all of them folks to sign that letter in support of PG?
Yeah, I remember that
Where
letter.
y'all at? Yeah, where they at? I'm going to read the letter next week. I ain't gonna do it today.
But hold on, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Number one, what do you think? Okay, so they supported. So let's back up here and tell people what happened. So what's the background? What was this letter for folks who have no idea what you're talking about? Can you explain what this letter was and why
So
they
this
signed
letter
on
was
to it?
early on, probably about a year and a half ago, when the charges were first initiated against PG Sittenfeld. It was a letter of support for PG Sittenfeld. Basically, and I'm gonna summarize the letter. I'll post it later. But this letter basically indicated that the PG Sittenfeld was a target of the federal government for no reason at all, and that they supported PG and they knew that he was not guilty. And it was signed by about 80 to 90 prominent Cincinnatians, donors, and other individuals. Two of the individuals actually testified for PG. John Kirk signed that letter. Chris Silbach signed that letter. Lincoln Ware signed this letter. Cecil Thomas did. Many donors all across the city of Cincinnati signed this letter saying that the federal government was picking on PG Sittenfeld and that these charges were unsubstantiated and that these charges were trumped up and that he was basically not guilty of any of this. So, people can go find the letter themselves too. Just Google PG letter. I think they put it on Medium. If you want to look at it and review what these people try to sell the community. Now, I do want to say this about accountability.
Well, can I say something about what you just said real quick?
Sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
I think
sure.
I don't remember all the details of the letter, but I think you're landing on a little bit thick. I'm not sure people was like, oh, we know he didn't do it. I think it was kind of like, we believe that he's not guilty and he's a good guy and we support him. I think that's what it was more, because there's no way that they could possibly know all the details of a trial before the trial comes out.
Well, you Google the letter. You should Google it. Anybody listening to me, Google the letter yourself. Read it for yourself, and the letter will speak for itself.
Okay. Again, I'm just saying I think that, but let me look it up right now.
No, right. No, that's fair. I agree with you. You might be saying I'm banging it on thick. You might not really call all the details, but I think that letter is apropos at this moment where people were trying to predict what was going to happen. And as it relates to accountability, once again, I don't blame PG Sittenfeld for being a dirty politician. I blame the folks who introduced PG Sittenfeld to the black community so that he could act as if he cared about black causes, like he cared about the African American community. I blame those people because all he did was use our community for his own political, financial, and power grab. And that's all I got to say, comrade. Have a good weekend. But yeah, find the letter, read it, let people know what it is.
Yeah, I think you're being a bit I think you're mixing two things, but I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. You definitely are. You're entitled to your opinion. And I don't dance but I'm consistent. When Black Russia had his legal issues, those of you who listen to this show, what did I say? I don't dance on another man's downfall. I was not happy to see that about Black Russia. I wasn't happy about it. People was making jokes about him. I ain't make no jokes. It's not funny. That ain't no funny thing. Okay. And I take that same spirit that I gave to the man who just got off the air. And I feel that about any and all folks, especially if somebody that I know. I hate to see somebody get caught up in the legal system. Now, I got the letter in front of me, and maybe he's right, though. The title of it is Prosecutors' Unjust Treatment of PG Sittenfeld. I won't read it all to you. But he had like 160 people who signed onto this. I don't blame these people. Just like I wouldn't blame somebody who signed a letter for anybody. Like if that's somebody you rock with and you feel like, that it's been unjust and they're really a good guy or a good woman or whatever, and you want to sign a letter, I don't have a problem with it. I don't blame, let me put Lincoln Ware. I don't blame Lincoln Ware for signing this letter. I don't blame any of the people that signed this letter. You know what I'm saying? That at that moment, that's what they felt. That's what they felt. And if they felt like they wanted to sign on to the letter because they supported PG and they knew another side of him, okay. I don't think that's negative about them at all. That's just me. Other people might. There's something I got to challenge, though. He's talking about he blamed the people that brought PG to the black community because all he did, he faked like he cared about black causes. Well, people can think what they want. I'm not necessarily sure that we have enough evidence to really say that. Like, um, I'm not really sure that we have enough evidence to really say that. Hold on one second. I'm not really sure. I was texting somebody. I'm not really sure that that's a fair thing to say, because two things can be true at the same time. You can be somebody that done some dumb shit, some illegal shit, but you also cared about the black community. I mean, are we trying to say Tamaya Denard didn't care about the black kid? I don't know if that's fair or not, but people can make their own decisions. As I'm looking at this letter, I think um, the way that Black Russia characterized it is probably a lot more true than what I initially thought. So I think he's right about that. And I haven't got a chance to read all the way through the letter. I'm kind of looking at it right now, but I'll post a link and people can check it out for themselves. It's on Medium, Medium. People can decide for themselves about that. But I'm consistent. Inconsistent, whether it's Black Russia or PG Sittenfeld, or if this ends up being Jeff Pastor. I hate to see anybody get caught up in the legal system. I don't want to see it. I don't like it. But I don't have control over individuals. I don't have no power. I'm just a dude I'm just average Joe with a superlative flow. That's it. So this is what I think it will mean moving forward. I think the federal government made their case, and now they're making their point, which is elected officials work for the people. Work for the people. Simple as that. And in the case of PG Sittenfeld, I think it was documented that he supported this project. Leave it at that. But then maybe he was leveraging that. And again, the government made their case. So at this point, it's fair to say they did make their case. That PG Sittenfeld was leveraging his position to try to solicit money from people, whether he initially supported it or not. Federal government just made their case. It is what it is. And I think that all the elected officials all over the country are going to be paying attention to this, especially in Southwest Ohio. You got to be dumb to think anything else. You being dumb, absolutely, without any kind of critical thinking, any kind of foresight whatsoever, if you continue to move recklessly after what you just saw with Tamaya Denard and PG Sittenfeld. And I think that's good for the people. To the extent that this trial or these trials clean up the system, great. Great. But what it really speaks to, and the larger issue is bigger than PG and it's bigger than Tamaya. And it's an issue that I don't hear nobody talking about, because it's the most difficult issue and it would challenge the system. You know what that is? The money in politics. That's the real corrosive element, is that it takes so much money to get on TV. It takes so much money to get billboards. And in a capitalistic society with haves and have-nots, those with money are always going to have more influence on our political system than those who don't have money. You know what I'm saying? I could throw some names out there of some of the wealthy families in Cincinnati, but I won't do that because I don't need to do that. But you don't see them people going door to door. You don't see them people out at the community events. They don't have to, because their money travels farther and faster than they could. The real issue, if you really want to dig down to this, is the money in politics. That's the real issue. That's the real corrosive element, corrupting element. It costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to get on city council. It might cost you $500,000 to $1 million to become the mayor, to run for rep, to run for senator. You're talking about multi-millions of dollars. When you introduce the money, it becomes a potentially corrosive and corrupting element, period, across the board. I don't care who you are. Those conversations are more difficult and harder to deal with. Those conversations really challenge the system. You know, they can come with all these little things here, there, and councilmen can't talk with developers. You can't have multiple LLC, blah, blah, blah. And that's great. You can do all that. You can do what you can. They should. The powers that the politicians, the elected officials should do what they can to try to stop it. But the money is the real issue. You just outgunned. You just can't compete with people that's got deeper politics, deeper pockets. If I'm writing a check for $1,100, I'm much more likely to get a call back from a prospective candidate or from a candidate or an elected official than a person who did not. Period. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm writing checks out here. Hey, listen, can I got an issue. Can you call me back? Now, who you think the elected official is going to call back first? The person who just got an issue in the community. Oh, help me. Or the person whose name is on the ledger as giving $1,100 or $1,200 or $2,200, right? And supporting them with their dollars through multiple campaigns. Who you think they're going to call first? You already know who they're going to call first. Money talks and everything else. You can throw that out the window. Good morning to you. Let's go back to the phones. The phone lines are available and they're open at 513-873-7134. Like, go ahead and lock me into your phone. Go ahead and lock me in. Good morning and welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Nate. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Chris, good morning, sir.
Yes.
Or good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Right. Just a couple things, from just a little bit that I got from the things that he did. They may have seen they were close to the line. Like when they were talking about him saying, you know what, I can't have this lump of money in this amount in this account. But if you broke it down, and he was telling them how to do it to where he could have the money. I don't think that's wrong. I mean, actually, I think it's kind of smart because I know the rules. I know how to get around the rules legally. And, like you said, though, you got to have money if you want to be in this position. And I think he did it. I don't know exactly what the charges were that he got found guilty for.
Extortion and bribery.
Oh, yeah, that I can see how they may think, but he's going to appeal, and they're going to break it down. He's going to appeal at least twice. So he's not going to prison for at least 5 years if he goes, because I think it's going to get overturned, me personally. And if it doesn't, he still has a lot. I think he's probably more dangerous now. I shouldn't say more dangerous. I think he's probably, as far as political, if I was to run for council or any kind of office, I would hire him on my team to put me up, because now actually he knew how to do it. He's been there, and that's his passion. I would have him behind the scenes on my team working for me. So it's not like he's done out of politics. He's done as the face, but not behind the scenes. He's still going to do, I would think he would still do great things in politics behind the scenes. I mean, that's the angle I would go with it. Okay, I'm going to go do my time. All right, I do my 12 months, come back out, and make more money behind the scenes than I would up front.
I mean, all things are possible. I'm sure he might. I don't know. Like if I'm running for, I'm not saying. I mean, clearly PG Sittenfeld has some value, perhaps as a political consultant. I can see that. But if I'm running a campaign, I wouldn't want anybody to know that I'm consulting with him.
Not like you said. Whatever he got charged with, this has nothing to do. It's not going to tarnish him at all. Because honestly, I believe I don't think it's gonna hurt him, but it's not gonna hurt him in the long run.
What?
I still think people will. Honestly, y'all Hamilton County and Ohioans, I think y'all still backing, and that's just the people I talk to. That's just some of the people I talked to was still back you. And you said it, he would have wiped the plate. He was guaranteed mayor. He was in. And that was with 80% of the vote. Even if you knocked it down to 60%, he's still in. That's how many people still back him and believe in what he was doing.
Well, number one, defense attorney Mike Allen, and again, this man had his own issues. You know, he used the office of Hamilton County prosecutor to push up on a woman and force her to have sex with him. It's amazing to me how local media can vilify some people, but they've completely embraced Mike Allen like he's some kind of credible moral compass or something like this. But there's a quote from him in the paper saying that this isn't over. The Sixth Circuit's Court of Appeals will be looking this closely. So yeah, I think we all know that this is going to go to appeal, and we'll see what happens. They might reverse it. Never know.
Man, I think so, but that's how frustrated I get when either I hear him on the radio or somebody mentions that man's name. Because if you ever I don't even want to talk about it no more. I feel like you this morning when you was talking how you was frustrated. Yeah, that's how frustrated I get when somebody mentions or I hear his voice.
Mike Allen. Oh, I just don't get it. It's like they've completely forgiven him and forgotten the fact that he used the office of the Hamilton County prosecutor to try to force a woman into a sexual relationship, and he was married.
Right.
Run around with a lampshade on his head. I'm just making that part up. But run around trying to force her to be into a sexual relationship. And then when Joe Dieters came in, they forced her out of the office. Nobody talks about that anymore. I'm supposed to listen to what this man got to say? Please.
Right. And he talks as he's so, like he has, like his morals are so high and talks down about so many different people and any situation. It don't matter. I don't even want to get on that one, right? Because I get that frustrated. But yeah, Sittenfeld's going to appeal, and I think it's going to be overturned. Honestly, I do. I really believe it's going to be overturned. If it doesn't, he will be behind the scenes in politics making moves. Mm-hmm. You can bank on that one. You can bank on it. It may not be here in Cincinnati. It may even be on a national level of him making moves and making decisions and working for somebody. I can guarantee.
All right, Chris. Thank you for the call. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yeah, most deaf. The jury convicted P.G. Sittenfeld of bribery and attempted extortion that took place between September 21st, 2018 and December 17th, 2018. So what is that? September, October, November, December. A 4-month time place. There were other crimes that took place after that, or alleged crimes that took place between July 2019 and February 2020. All of which involve interactions with undercover FBI agents. So what is that saying? The jury was like, you know what? This undercover issue, we ain't really feeling that. But the stuff that took place before that, yeah. 4 months. I disagree with Chris. He says, this ain't going to hurt him. It's already hurt him. It cost him the mayorship. And then being the mayor of Cincinnati could be a springboard to being the U.S. Senator of Ohio. So I disagree with that. I think it's already cost P.G. Sittenfeld. I think it's already cost him. And I think that there's something we can learn from that. And what we can learn from that is watch what you do and watch who you talk to. You know what I'm saying? Don't be talking loose around Chinadum and Dukeway, Jared Cameras, and Sam Malone. Simple as that. Watch what you say around them. And really, watch what you say and how the moves that you're making around all people. Especially if you're an elected official, it's not even really about you anymore. It's about the people. It's about the people. Watch what you do. And I'm sure that people will. I think that people have already gotten the message. But there was a lot of doubt as to whether P.G. Sittenfeld's so-called white privilege was going to allow him to skirt it, and it did not. But we have to wait and see. We have to wait and see with an appeal. Even if he wins on appeal, I think the message has been sent to elected officials and those who want to be elected officials, because don't nobody want to go on trial and lose the trajectory or possible career. And we talking about how much money? $40,000 for $40,000. And I don't know PG Sittenfeld's finances, but from where I sitting, he ain't even need the money. You know, when it came to buying DeMar, and again, I don't know her circumstances, but from what I can remember, it appeared that for whatever reason, she needed the money, you know, paying bills or whatever. I think it was stuff about the high cost of living, and as a council person, you know, make enough money. I don't know the details of what was going on with her. So I'm not going to act like I do. But this money with PG Sittenfeld was going to a PAC. It wasn't going to the house. You ain't keeping the lights on. You don't need it. So I would just say, you know, it's a real sad thing. And we have to wait and see what happens. Have to wait and see what happens. What happens next? So that's going to be the next big thing. Appeals. The Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. That'll be the next thing. You know what I'm saying? You know, is the Sixth Circuit Court going to pick this case up? And you know, I don't blame Chinedum and Dukwe. I don't blame Jared Cameras. I don't blame Sam Malone. This is squarely on Mr. Sittenfeld. This is squarely on the individuals. You know what I'm saying? People be like, somebody talk to Maya Denard. I don't know about all that. This is on Tamaya Denard. Somebody taught PG Sittenfeld. I don't know about all this. This is on Mr. Sittenfeld. You know, I don't know what's going to happen with Jeff Pastor, but let's say Jeff Pastor ends up being convicted. If that happens, and I hope it don't happen, I hope he gets off. You know, Jeff is a family man, beautiful family, got all them babies, them beautiful brown babies. They need their daddy. This world is rough. They need their daddy. Got a sister he married to, got the wifey. She need her husband right there. I don't want to see that. It would not make me happy in any way. In fact, I'll be sad about it. Very sad about it. I don't want to see that. But as I've been saying, my friends, and I'll say this for like the 5th time, if you do the crime, then get ready to do the time, because the boys ain't playing. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they run down on you? I don't know. Kamika writes, I'm doubtful he would have returned to politics even if he was acquitted. PG is a good dude regardless. Yeah, I think two things can be true. I think you can be a good dude. Like I told y'all, people gave me heat. I still will vote for Tamaya Denard, even though because when I voted for her based upon what I felt and knew at that time. I ain't gonna stop, you know, liking somebody or thinking favorably per se because somebody, you know, gets caught up in the nature of something like this. Now, you already know if it's some child pornography, some sexual exploitation, you abusing people and all this, shit. Whatever, I don't know you. I'm gonna flush you down the toilet with the rest of the ish, right? But that's not the case here. So yeah, you know, two things can be true. Yeah, currently he's been convicted, but if people feel like he's still a good guy, I don't have no reason to challenge that. You know what I'm saying? The interactions I had with PG were always favorable. I never had an issue. You know what I'm saying? I could never say anything. So, you know, sometimes people do stuff. You know, sometimes good people and people that in other cases, you know, are straight and narrow, they get caught up in it sometimes and they veer off the path and they get caught up. It happens. It's very, very sad, but it happens. Steph writes, let's have common sense here. He was up against the FBI. I'm pretty sure he'll learn his lesson after being wiretapped psychologically will affect his moves and the rest of the political parties doing dirty politics. I can see how that could F you up. I can see how that would F you up. But you know what? I'm very careful about who I call a friend. I'm very careful. I seen people out here on Facebook talking about, yeah, Nathan, my friend. I'm like, what? I don't know this Negro, but I don't really say nothing. That for me to call you a friend, that means you demonstrated something to me. I don't just use people play. I don't play friends. I don't play auntie and uncle. I don't do that. I don't play those games because I take family and friends very, 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 very seriously. But people like to throw that word around. Oh, I'm this, I'm that. We cool. Yeah, we see eye to eye on this. But that don't mean we ace boom coon and we there for each other. I don't mean that. So Mr. Sittenfeld was trusting Mr. Chudendum and Dukeway, and perhaps he should not have. You know what I'm saying? Perhaps he should not have. And same thing with Jared Cameras. But I could see how that could mess somebody up. I could see how for the rest of your life, if you get caught up with something like that with wiretaps, I could see how for the rest of your life, you would assume everybody wiretap. But what I'm telling you is you should assume that anyway. Watch what you saying. Watch the moves you making. Watch the people around you. You know what I'm saying? Black, white, or whatever. Makes no difference. Makes no difference. These people, oh, you want me to meet this person? What's this all about? Who is this person? Why? And again, it came out in the trial. I think it was somebody in PG's office. It was like, you know what? They seem like FBI agents. He should have listened to them. You should have listened to them and check your steps. And we talking about little money. 10 grand? Your whole career over 20,000? 40,000? That's nothing. That is nothing. You know, man, that's nothing. But again, you know, perhaps Mr. Sittenfeld felt all along, and I'm going to assume this because this is what he said in his trial, that I didn't do nothing wrong. Now he's learned a very valuable lesson that perhaps that in fact he did. And it's a lesson that you can learn. There might be somebody in this audience right now that's thinking about running for elective office. Learn that lesson, my friend. Learn from this. Learn from this. Let me see. Crystal, what up, Crystal? A Facebook user writes, I just wish that corruption would have came out in the city years ago. This isn't the first time with these recent people. Well, you know that. Kamika writes, meanwhile, every Republican is on the NRA payroll and votes against even common sense gun reform. If that's not buying votes, I don't know what is, but they're doing it legally. They're doing it legally. Steph writes, 40K isn't a lot. Look at states like New York and what Trump paid to run and the current administration budget. I think our market play to play is different. We need economic stabilization. Nina writes, both parties in Cincinnati do dirty politics and cover up for each other. PG to Maya were targeted. Yes, they were targeted. There's no doubt about that. Tamaya Denard, and somebody connect me. And again, Tamaya's already did her time. She out now. I see her on Facebook. I love it. I hope she live her best life. So I hate dragging her into it, but I understand that she's going to be dragged into it. So it is what it is. But Tamaya's case, all these cases are different. They have, you know, different elements, different circumstances to it. And Tamaya trusted one of these developers. The developer ran straight to the feds, set her up, start wearing wires. Now, does that mean she was targeted? Yeah, after what she said. It looks like PG Sittenfeld was targeted as well, in the sense that he was introduced, or he had this relationship with Chindum Ndukwe. He had no idea that Chindum Ndukwe was working with the feds, and they start feeding him little information here or there. I think Chindum introduced him to the developers. Yeah, work with them, or something like that. And so, yeah, he was the target of an FBI investigation, no doubt about it. But my thing about being targeted is this. They can target you all day long. If you ain't doing shit, it don't matter. They're just wasting their time. FBI, the Department of, now we know in America, let's be real here. We know in America that you don't even have to be guilty to go to jail. We know that. Let's be real. Let's put that to the on the table. We know that. We know that, especially if you're non-white. We already know the jails is full of people that was targeted and then do shit wrong, and there's very little sketchy evidence, and they really shouldn't be locked up. We got that. So you're right. They were targeted. Mr. Pastor, Ms. Denard, Mr. Sittenfeld, Mr. Pastor. Yes, they were all targets of an FBI investigation. But again, the FBI could probably targeted a lot of people when they didn't find nothing. They let it go. Like, you know what? They clean. Ain't nothing here. So again, it ain't time for the pity party. Like I said, you do the crime, you do the time. In Tamaya's case, in Miss DeMart's case, she pled. She said, "Look, I did it. I'm gonna go ahead and do this time. I'm gonna sit down for a little while. It is what it is. I'm gonna move away from this." Boom. Mr. Sittenfeld chose to fight it. Same result. What is Mr. Pastor gonna do? I would imagine that Jeff Pastor is shaking in his boots right now. I would imagine he is shaking in his boots right now, thinking about the possibilities of what's going to go on. And I would imagine that he's given a lot of thought to copping a plea. That just makes sense to me. It just made sense to me. Nate, did the Gang of Five? No, it did not. No, it did not. Because what we found out through the trial is that way before all that Gang of Five nonsense, the FBI was targeting members of city council, way beyond here. So no, it predated that. Gladys writes, always feed people with a long handled spoon. I know that's right. TNT writes, it's deeper than that. It's sparked by who? Who called the feds? It's deeper than we know. I suspect, like, what we know is that this whole thing started back in 2013. I suspect that they were probably targeting even before that. Now, who was in office in 2013? Was that Obama? I think Obama was in office. So the Obama Justice Department was targeting public corruption. Be careful, my friends. Be careful. Be careful the moves you make out here. Especially if you're working in that moving in that world of elected officials. Be careful. Dale writes, I remember when PG, he first campaigned for city council some years back, and he campaigned TV ad had rubbed me the wrong way because he was walking down an OTR street and the street was empty. I was like, if you for the people, then why? If you for the people, then why did you have the whole street clear so he could film that ad instead of having the people who live there in the ad if you are for the people? I mean, I can't say anything about your feelings about him in that way. TNT writes, sad for his family. Yep. His wife broke down. Just imagine PG's wife. That's what I'm saying. Like, men, come on, yo. You put your wife in these kind of situations. It's very, very sad. PG got a young boy just like I got a son, so I can identify. The last thing in the world I want to do is leave my son and my daughter and the wifey. They need me. I see they need me every single day. PG's son needs him. His wife needs him. You know what I'm saying? The people that love Ms. Denard need her. They needed her. She didn't have any children, but she had people that loved her. And then projecting forward, Mr. Pastor's children and his wife need him. Trucking with Dante writes, somebody needs to check on Link. Somebody needs to check on Link, and PG was his boy. I was tight with PG too. I ain't gonna back away from it. Y'all already know we did a podcast together, and we shared a vision on some issues. I 100% stand by it. I ain't gonna back down and back away. I'd said what I said. I meant it, and I mean it now. Period. And Lincoln will be okay. I know he and PG were close. It was cool for a lot of different reasons. I can't speak to it because I don't know the details of their relationship. So I'm sure Lincoln feels the same way I do on some levels. Like, you hate to see anybody go to jail or be convicted, but especially somebody that you know, and somebody that's got children, that's got a kid. It's a really sad thing. Man, leave Lincoln alone. Nobody should mess with Lincoln because he signed on to this document saying he supported PG Sittenfeld. There's a lot of people that signed on to it. I don't look any differently to them people whatsoever. We should all be so lucky that if we get caught up in the game or some criminal charges, that we can get some people to sign off and say, I support this person and I think this person, I don't believe the charges. We should all be so lucky to be in that situation. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I can't hate on Mr. Sittenfeld because he got people that supported him. You know what I'm saying? I can't hate on them. Railroaded. I think I read this already. Hey, what's up, Sister Crystal? The Sister Crystal Show. Okay, I'm gonna check you out. Are you on YouTube? I think you probably are. If that's coming up on YouTube, I'll check you out. Are you in Cincinnati? That's dope. Wish you the best. Railroaded. I don't know. Targeted for sure. Railroaded. I ain't gonna be able to say that. Can't say that. Can't say railroaded. Tiffany writes, I can't find a stream on Facebook. I'm streaming from The Nathan Ivy Show. The Nathan Ivy Show on Facebook. I'm going to be streaming more from that Facebook page because I want to build it up. Tanika writes, I just have 2 words. Poor Lincoln. Lincoln ain't going to jail. Lincoln going to be doing his show on Monday, getting ready for the football season. Enjoy his Bengals. Lincoln will be all right. Dale writes, Pastor X is next and will be found guilty if PG was. Again, I completely understand why people say that. If I was Mr. Pastor, I'd be looking at a situation like, oh boy, they really coming from my block ass. You know what I'm saying? But 2 different circumstances, 2 different juries, 2 different defense attorneys, different set of circumstances, although there's some similarities. So I think that we got to look at each case and judge it on the merits of that individual case. You know what I'm saying? If you haven't already done so, find me on Facebook at The Nathan Ivey Show. I'll be streaming more and more from that page exclusively. I just want to build it up. You know what I'm saying? I want to build it up. So that's what I have for you. We're coming up on an hour. I didn't plan to be with you for a long time. Jericho writes, Poly Pastor. See, damn. Pamela writes, it predated the hot tub cell phone incident also. Yes, it did. Yes, it does. Graston writes, Lincoln on Monday must announce on his show that LG is TBE man. What's TBE man? I don't understand what that means. And Lincoln don't have to announce anything. He can that man can do whatever that man's gonna do. He got his own feelings and is entitled to it, whatever that might be. And I don't know what Lincoln's been saying about it because I tap in every once in a while. I say, what's up to Link? I say, what's up to the people there? Because there's some crossover with the audience. And, I just like Lincoln. And then usually I'm on with the rest of the day. So I haven't heard what he's been saying about PG. Maybe I heard one comment where he was like, he hopes he thinks he's going to be exonerated or something like that. The man, and yes, he does. We have a bet. Y'all have a bet. Y'all bet on that? Y'all have a bet on that? That's crude. I'm just saying, Grasson, man, you ain't consistent, man. I just remember, and I'm going to call you out. When you had your legal issues, your brother and your people was in here talking about, hey, this is a serious issue and let's not pile on. And I agree with them 100%. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to have some class. Class ain't a thing no more. Class ain't a thing no more. We gotta have class. But I know you got it in for PG. So for you, this is a happy day, and you're gonna dance on the man's misfortune and all this kind of stuff. But it's just, come on, man. We gotta have class. You know what I'm saying? Gotta have class. To me, You got to be a gracious loser and a gracious winner. But I don't think you won anything. Nobody really won anything. You might say it's a victory for the people. You might say that it's a victory for the you might say it's a victory for the people in the sense that it's going to send a message to other elected officials. I disagree with Shaba that it's a sad day for Cincy. This ain't no sad day for Cincy. If anything, it's the reverse on it. It's a sad day for Mr. Sittenfeld and his family. It ain't a sad day for Cincinnati. You know what I'm saying? It's the reverse. It's actually a good day for Cincinnati in the sense of, I'm going to keep it 100 with you. It's a good day in the sense of Cincinnati in the sense that perhaps, not even perhaps, is that for the short term, because people are, for the short term, they'll change and they'll go back to their true colors. But for the short term, you better believe the city council persons, all locally elected officials, everybody in Southwest Ohio, check that, all people in Ohio, all politicians is going to be open. They're going to be watching what they do and what they say. They're going to be watching what they do and what they say. I would say it's bigger than a victory for the voters. I think it's a victory for city council in the sense that, as I was just saying, Braxton, that it'll lead to less corruption in the short term and more accountability to the people and what's the right thing to do and not just money and dollars. But what I'll tell you is the real victory is when we figure out a way to give real control back to the people by getting money out of politics. Now, people might say, how do you do that? Well, that's publicly funded elections. Now, talking about publicly funded elections when gas is $5 an hour is a no-no. That's a no-no. So what happens is people are going to be satisfied with these various individual wins, like somebody goes to jail, Tamaya Denard and PG Sittenfeld. But the real issue is larger than all of them. The real issue is the corrosive and corruptive element of the money in politics. And while people are bellyaching, are we willing to put our money where our mouth is to publicly fund elections so we take it out? The answer is hell to the nah. Because gas is $5 an hour. Everybody belly aching about how much everything costs. The last thing people want to hear is taking more tax dollars to publicly fund elections. So what does that mean? It means the haves still win. The people with money keep on winning because they got more influence. That's the real deal. That's the real, I just told you, that is the realest flow that I can give you about this. That's the real deal. It's the money. It's the corruptible and corrosive impact of the fact that it costs tens and hundreds of, they call it $100,000 to get on city council. Unless you Cecil Thomas, it costs you $100,000 to get on city council, unless you're Cecil Thomas. Cecil Thomas is the only man that can win with $15,000. He's the only man I've ever seen do that. He's the only man who I've seen do that. Oh, Shabba got jokes. He writes, yo, Nate, make that photo of you and PG your profile pic. Why would I do that? We're not doing a podcast anymore. If we were still doing a podcast, well, when we were doing the podcast, I was showing it. We're not doing it anymore. We stopped doing that years ago. So that's the real issue, my friends. So while people are, running victory laps, this is good for the people. Yeah, temporarily. The real culprit is how we fund our elections. As long as it comes down to money, then poor people, average working class people, your voice always going to be a little less loud, a little less impactful than the people that's got the dollars. It's always going to be that way. Let me see. Graston writes, folks going to be podcasting all day on PG white liberal ass coming to black communities, kissing our babies and cutting deals with pastors. Now, I will be careful about that, Graxton, because you're talking about cutting deals with pastors. Your boy Jeff Pastor, he cut some big deals. He was dropping off tens of thousands of dollars at some of these local churches. So all I'm saying is what you're going to get from me is you're going to get a very strong opinion. I ain't going to never try to lie to you. I ain't going to never mislead you. And I don't care who we talking about. I'm going to keep it real with you as possible. And I'm going to try to look at it from both sides. I can't tell you what other people going to do and how they do what they do. They can do whatever they want to do. Great for them. I have no idea. But right here, right on this show, when I'm doing the host, we're going to look at the facts. I'm going to try to give it to you from both sides. That's the reason why I reached out to Steve Gooden, white male Republican, because I wanted to make sure that nobody could say that the analyst that we brought on the show was biased. I knew he wasn't going to be biased in favor of Mr. Sittenfeld, but I also thought that he was going to give us, the straight dope. And again, I appreciate Steve's coming on the show. He was spot on. He was spot on, 100%. And as I listened to him, I thought his analysis was fair. And I talked to him this morning, and everything he said is exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened. Oh, yeah, that's the link. I was going to share the link as well. But let me share it. And I'm glad you put that on there. And like I said, I think the way that you characterized it was more accurate than what I remembered. Black Russia. See, I'm a fair guy. You know what I'm saying? I don't get paid off doing no nonsense. I keep it 100. I keep it 100 with you. If I like somebody, I like them. I ain't going to stop liking them because somebody else don't like it. If I support somebody, I support them. I'm not going to stop supporting them because somebody else say don't support them. I'm just not like that. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. If somebody call in and they right, they right. Period. If I say something that's wrong, I'm wrong. Period. That's it. That's what you're going to get from me. If you can appreciate that, you can appreciate it. And I am a man with a lot of strong opinions now. I will challenge. That's going to happen. But right is right and wrong is wrong. Period. My motivation is, for the people. I want you to get as much information so you can make your own decision. Shabba has got nothing but jokes. He writes, who having a hot tub party this weekend? You silly, man. You is too funny, man. Y'all trying to make jokes out of this, man, but this ain't no joking matter, man. This is not funny. This is not funny. Steph writes, will this create more violence and tension in the community? No. How could it? I don't see any more violence and tension in our community whatsoever. No. How do you think this could happen, Steph? I don't see, how could this create more violence? I don't see that. I don't see that one bit. Not even a little bit. What we're seeing is what grown folks been talking about for years. Like, raise your hand if you're really surprised by any of this. It's shocking. It's eye-opening. But grown folks know how this city works. We know how human beings work. Money walks and bullish talk. Wait. Money talks and bullshit walks. Excuse my language. Lord, forgive me for my brash delivery. Excuse my language. My apologies. I'm trying to get better. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get better with that. I'm a very emotional guy. And I'm very real. So sometimes it comes out. My kids are older now. So what I found is I'm cursing more around the house. Because they're older now. I'm a cursor. That's just always been like that. You know what I'm saying? I waited 18 years to become an adult so I could do what I want to do. Then I had to wait a few more years until I moved out the house. Moved out my parents' house so I could say what I want to say and do what I want to do. And sometimes I get caught up. My apologies. I know your children might be watching or you're just at work or something like that. So I want to be conscious of that. I really do. Grasson writes, thank you, comrade. He writes, where are these people? I can see you gonna run with this no matter what. Well, you do you, bro. You do you. Again, for me, people might target Lincoln Ware and the other black people on there. I don't have no issues with them. I don't have no problem with it. Ain't nothing wrong with them saying they want to support PG Sittenfeld or anybody else they want to support. That's their decision. I don't think it reflects bad on them. And I'm sure that there were multiple motivations as to why people signed on to it. Whatever their reasons was whatever their reasons was. The way I look at it is, damn, I hope that if I get caught up in the game or the matrix and I ask people to sign on to a letter, I can get 160 people to sign on for me, because most people can't do that. So, I mean, do you, bro? I can see already, what your game plan is, and you do you. You do you. And all I can say is, you got caught up. Your brother and them, your family was in here talking about don't do it, and it ain't funny, and don't dance on his grave, and he's got issues, and he's dealing with his problems and all this kind of stuff. And your boy Nate Ivy agreed 1,000%, as I would do with anybody in the chop shop. Like, nah, I ain't doing that. That's not why I'm here. I'm not here to dance on no man's misfortune. Here you are doing a dance on some person's misfortune. And all I'll say, Grayson, is karma. Watch it, bro. Karma is a you-know-what. Yo writes, all them Virgos can curse like a sailor. Yeah. There was a study out that said that highly intelligent people curse, and I agree. I agree. Not that I'm highly intelligent. Anthony writes, how soon people forget. Right. I don't dance on another man's or woman's misfortune at all. I keep it 100. I keep it 100. You know what I'm saying? You hear me say something, I'm speaking it for a reason. Because I don't get anything out of that. Somebody else, has a misstep or misfortune. That don't do nothing for me at all. At all. Yeah, people forget. People forget, man. Don't forget. But again, family, that's my time. I don't have much more for you. I just wanted to get your instant reaction from the PG Sittenfeld case. Found guilty on 2 charges, bribery and extortion. And people will be picking the bones of this throughout the rest of the day and over the weekend. And why Sittenfeld's verdict is a victory for Cincinnatians. Jason Williams probably wrote this last week. He's been waiting to put this out here. And like I said, just remember what your boy Nate Ivy told you. See, I go a little deeper than your average local talking head. A lot of folks going to say, this is a victory for Cincinnati. Yeah, to a point. But the real culprit is the money in politics. Are we ready to have a conversation about how we take the money out of politics? And I'm talking about the Cincinnatians. If you outraged right now, the question is, what you willing to do about it? Are we willing to pay more money as taxpayers, as property owners, as business owners, so that we can publicly finance these local elections and therefore take the money out of politics? It just becomes about the merit. Because make no doubt about it, politics in some cases has nothing to do about the ideas. It's just all about the size of the megaphone. In too many cases, politics, elections have nothing to do with the policies, the ideas. It has everything to do with the size of the megaphone. Are we willing to have a real conversation about publicly financed elections? And my sense is hell to the nah, because gas $5, milk is up, meat is up, cheese is up, potato chips cost more, everything costs more. Everybody belly aching. At least working class people belly aching. Wealthy people like, it barely registered to them. I don't know about you, but I'm working class. I got to work for mine. You know what I'm saying? So I'm feeling it like you are. It's summer camp time. Cost you what? $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 to put your kid in summer camp for 3 months, less than 3 months. And now somebody wants to say, hey, we're going to hit you a little bit more money so we can publicly finance local elections. Most people will probably shoot that down. So how serious are we really? It's real easy to sit back and get caught up in these individual personalities and this person, that. That's small potatoes. PG Sittenfeld is a symptom. He ain't the problem. Tamaya Denard was just a symptom. She ain't the problem. Jeff Pastor is just a symptom. They ain't the problem. The real problem, I'll leave you with this, is the money in politics. That's the real problem. That's the real problem. TNT writes, rat, monkey, snake. You better recognize it when you see it. Most people can't see it, man. It's a lot of rat, monkey, snakes in Cincinnati. A lot of them. It's a lot of rat, monkey, snakes. PG Sittenfeld got bit. But he also has to, take accountability for his own actions, which I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's somewhere sitting like, gosh darn, I ain't even need this. But again, it's hard for me to sort of channel what another man is thinking, so I'm not going to get too deep into that. But again, and then secondly, look back and look at the people that dance around. Look at the people that dance around. Look at the people in the media that really try to dance around with you. Somebody told you told shit. Watch that. The people that really seem to revel in this. Let's see if Jason Williams talks about the real issue, which is the money in politics. Remember I told you first. And with that, my friends, I'm going to read a few more comments and I got to make a move here. Kamika writes, that's real because you could have laughed at BR when he was having a sucker attack about his girlfriend. Yeah, I didn't do that. I didn't think it was funny. I could hear that man was in pain. Shoot, that hit you in the heart. You feel like your girl or your wife or your fiance, your baby mom, whatever, she cheating on you with another dude. That hurt. I've been there. That shit hurt. It hit you as a man. So I don't get anything, whether I rock with you or I don't rock with you. I don't mean any ill will to any man or woman in the world, unless you try to do something to me and my family. Then whatever happens to you, and I might be a part of it. But I don't have any enemies. I don't have no ill will toward any man or woman. I want everybody to live their best life and accomplish their goals. And I'm gonna stay on that positive ish, even with Black Russia. You know what I'm saying? Black Russia said crazy shit about me. So what? I don't care. I'm not going to go after that black man. That black man is not my enemy. I don't look at it that way. I think untrustworthy people in the community been now how easy it is to get information such as social media and the people doing good on their team that thought it was the right thing. But since the tension is high and other exposure with dirty politics, I think that it'll affect the community long term more than ever. I don't think. Again, I'm not even sure what you just said there, Steph. I think untrusted people in the community been right. I agree with the first part. I understand that it is easier to get more information via social media, but since the tension is high, I think I don't think it's going to affect the community, and I'm not even sure it's going to make people feel more confident about city council. Like, now that PG Sittenfeld has been convicted, are you less or more confident that the system works for you? I feel the same. I don't feel like, oh, well, they got rid of PG and Tamaya Denard and maybe Jeff Pastor. Now the system's open up. It's going to be fair for the working man. You'd be a damn fool to believe that. The system is still rigged, as I said. It's the money in politics all the way around. All the way around. It's the money in politics. It costs so darn much to get on local TV. It costs so darn much to get on radio. It costs so darn much to get billboards. It costs so darn much to put your message out there. It costs so darn much. And as long as it costs a lot of money, then those who have money to donate will always have an upper hand. And as long as those who have the money to donate have an upper hand, the working man and woman, black, white, or whatever, is always going to come up short. Always. You cannot get over that. What up, Ron Hummins? Brother doing good work in our community. Good to see you, bro. Brother doing good work. You should follow him on Facebook. He's doing great work. You should get behind that. If you feel inclined to do so, read about what he's doing and get behind it, or don't. It's up to you. I respect and support that, brother. It's not only the money in politics, it's the feeling of power that politicians acquire once they have been in office for too many years. They begin to feel like the rules that we abide by don't apply by them. Well, one is a personal thing and the other is a structural thing. So you're right. I can see somebody being in office and they've been in a gerrymander, like, it sounds like you're describing Steve Shabbat. It sounds like you're describing Steve Shabbat. Or some would say that maybe you're describing PG Sittenfeld. So let's keep it in context. But I can see that. But one thing is a personality thing. The other is a structural thing. Structurally, politics does not work for people because there's too much money in politics. Structurally, that's just my opinion. I stand by that very strongly. You know what I'm saying? But that's my time, my friends. Have an excellent Friday. I got a few things I need to get done. I might go live again between now and this evening. So just look for the feed. If you haven't already done so, find me on Facebook. Now I'm on YouTube as well, Nathan Ivey EY Show. But find me on Facebook, The Nathan Ivey Show, and connect with me there. Make sure you enable your video notifications, because a lot of people might be following, but if you're not following the video feed, you're not going to get it every time we go live. All right. Have an excellent rest of your Friday, and we'll catch up real soon. I'm Nate Ivey, and I'm out.